We like to joke, it's, like just because you've watched a lot of like medical drama on TV doesn't mean you can do surgery, right? And I get it. It looks like you think I can do that, but there's whatever, 20 years of training.
Him crossing the line, he's got one sock up and one sock down. And you're just like, yeah, I get it. It's complicated as hell. And
that's fun. That's a wicked sign off.
I think, to me, the problem with Roubaix, it goes back to, I led the team that developed the first carbon wheel to finish at Roubaix, which then became the first carbon wheel to win at Roubaix. And, that was a 3-4 year process where we broke, well over 100 wheels. We probably spent 200 hours testing that product, a lot of it in the field, like at the Arenberg Forest, really trying to get a feel for like what worked and then why it worked. And a lot of that was tire pressure related and tire size related, but a lot of it was layup and hook shape of the rim and things like that all turned out to be super critical. And if we remember back, the thing that happened the year after Cancellara won on that very first carbon wheel, every single team showed up with carbon wheels that were just the same carbon wheels they rode the rest of the year. We're like, oh, carbon wheels work great at Roubaix. And it was one failure after another. It was an absolute shit show of failure that year because, in engineering, we call this like the Bannister effect, right? Like, Roger Bannister, runs a 4-minute mile and he kind of shows the world how to do it. And now people go, oh, that's doable. We'll do what he did. And the problem with the Bannister effect is that a lot of times people, they think they see how something's being done, but they don't really see how it's being done. And, I always remind my team, say, there's a famous thing in the Toyota lean manufacturing kind of concept that, Toyota will let anyone, even competitors, come in and see the factory. And, there's a book about the history of this, but one of the quotes that always stuck with me is he said, it's, no matter what you think you're seeing, you're not seeing it all. And, the secret isn't that we did a thing and it worked. The secret is that, we're constantly doing all the things to make it always work. And I think that's the problem with like this Roubaix situation. 4 or 5 years ago, I think I told James Huang, Tubeless is the future and it's going to win Roubaix. And then of course it happened. And now all the teams know that, but you show up on hookless rims with 25 millimeter tires at too much pressure, right? It's like you're doing what you think the other teams are doing. It is not what the teams that are winning are doing. And we spent, I worked very closely with those very first tubeless rims to both finish and win at Roubaix. And we're detailed down to the exact size and shape of the tire insert. We're testing the pressures. Hundreds of hours went into making that work. And so, yeah, when, random team shows up with their normal wheel and some random tire and they, put extra sealant in it and we'll be fine, you're gonna have problems. And that's before you even get to just the fact of like, look at the Arenberg Forest. Like, I don't care how perfectly you do everything. It's a roll of the dice. Like, it just takes one misplaced wheel. Or one of the things people don't necessarily realize is people will steal the cobbles. And so there's always a problem every year of, they show up and like there's cobbles that are missing from people taking them. And the race organizers do an amazing job to try to manage that and fill those in and things. But we've been there at years where, there's hole this big that's that deep and the edge of it's and you're like, okay, I don't care what you could be on a downhill mountain bike, you're probably breaking a wheel if you hit that at that speed. Because the way they line it out, they hit that in the high 50k an hour range. Which is another one, like we learned when we were testing that if you really want to understand how the wheels break, you have to motor pace the riders onto the cobbles because they can't get themselves going fast enough into that sector to really simulate race pace. And so, it's details like that are, it's just years of effort, right, to get to that mark, to that place. And then the next year, inevitably, somebody looks at the photo and goes, oh yeah, we can do that. No, we like to joke, it's, you know, like just because you've watched a lot of like medical drama on TV doesn't mean you can do surgery, right? And you know, I get it. It looks like you see, you think I can do that, but there's, you know, there's whatever 20 years of training to go into doing it for real. And I think that oftentimes just gets missed, you know, and sometimes it gets missed for budget, sometimes it gets missed for people by being naive or just overly optimistic. And that's all before you get to the, like, sometimes you just have bad luck. Like, sometimes shit happens, you know, and, you know, we can cover most of the bases, you know, we say like, you know, we can get you 90-something% of the way there, but man, there's a, you know, you can always get crashed, hit something, spectator. That's what makes that race so crazy.